Why is Goblin Piledriver never sad? Because he has protection from the blues.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. with free weekly content and free shipping on orders over $150. You can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMudsta. And 401 Games, Canada's one-stop shop for trading cards, board games, and hobby supplies. They've got an amazing loyalty program and an easy-to-use and robust buy list. And if you use the promo code MTGMudsta, your first purchase of MTG sealed and singles will be 5% off. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game finds Max, Marie, and Seb rejoining me. In today's game, I'm playing my Landfall Matters Magus Lucea Kane deck, keeping Izzet Boilerworks, Roiling Regrowth, Forest, Alchemist Refuge, Island, Mountain, and Field of the Dead. Max is rocking his Sauron deck, keeping Muldrifter, Sepulchral Primordial, Molten Primordial, Tyrant's Familiar, Izzet Signet, Sunken Hollow, and Sulphurous Springs. Marie is playing mono white with Myrel, keeping Sol Ring, Plains, Felwar Stone, Launch the Fleet, Mondrak, Glory Dominus, Mirror Entity, and a Benelish Commander. Seb is playing their newly made Gimbal deck, keeping Blighted Burgeoning, Chaos Warp, Forest, Sol Ring, Thopter Spy Network, and a Vampire's Vengeance. I win the die roll and start us off. I draw and play a Forest. Max just plays a tap Sunken Hollow. Marie draws, plays a Plains, and casts Sol Ring. She then taps the Sol Ring for Felwar Stone and passes. Seb has a Forest and casts their own Sol Ring, passing to me. I draw and play an Island. Max plays Sulphurous Springs, and then pays 2 mana for an Izzet Signet. Marie draws, and casts her commander, Myrel, but without a land to play, has to pass. Seb draws and plays a Frostboil Snarl, revealing a mountain from their hand. They then cast a Blighted Burgeoning, making an Incubator token with 2 counters on it, and after that, they pass. I draw and play a Hinterland Harbor. I then main phase a Roiling Regrowth, sacrificing an island to go and find 2 basics and pass to Max. Max draws and in his main phase evokes Muldrifter, drawing 2 and sacrificing it. He then plays an Ancient Tomb and passes. Marie draws and finds a Plains, playing it for turn. She then plays out Mondrak and moves to combat. She swings Myrel at Max and makes 2 soldier tokens from the on attack trigger. Max then takes the hit and Marie passes. Seb draws and plays a Mountain. They cast Vampire's Vengeance to wipe away the soldier tokens and make a blood token, and then cast a Waterwind Scout, making a map. They pass after that. I draw and play a Ruin Crab, and then play an Island, milling my opponents for 3. I follow up with Magus Lucea Kane, and moving through combat, put a +1/+1 counter onto her, and pass. Max draws and plays a Temple of the False God, but can't use it for mana yet. With nothing else, he passes. Marie draws and continues to cast Mana Rocks with an Arcane Signet. She then plays out a Resolute Reinforcements, and then casts a Valiant Veteran. Going to combat, she swings Mondrak at me and Myrel at Max, and Marie makes 8 more soldier tokens, while Max and I don't block. With nothing else, she passes. Seb draws and plays a Forest. They then cast Thopter Spy Network, passing back to me. I've got a Mountain for turn, which mills my opponents for 3. I then move through combat, putting a +1/+1 counter onto Lucea Kane, and pass to Max. Max draws for turn, and takes a damage off the Sulphurous Springs to make a red mana to help cast Blasphemous Act. This wipes the board, but he's got no land to play, and has to pass. Marie draws and plays out Keeper of the Accord to try and catch up. She then passes, and during her end step, Seb uses Chaos Warp to shuffle the Keeper into Marie's library. And once she's done shuffling, Marie flips a Herald's Horn, which as it comes in, she names Soldier. Seb draws and plays a Simic Signet. They then cast Gimbal and move to their end step. This has Seb making a 4/4 Gremlin token with Gimbal, and they pass to me. I draw and play a Field of the Dead. I then cast a Quirion Ranger and pass to Max. Max draws and plays Rionia, taking 2 from tapping the Ancient Tomb. However, he's still missing a land drop and has to pass. Marie draws and plays Myrel, but with nothing else, has to pass. Seb makes a Thopter on their upkeep and draws. They then play a Cartographer's Companion and make a map token, which then they immediately sack to explore on their Gremlin token. A non-land is revealed, so the Gremlin gets another +1/+1 counter, and Seb keeps the card on top. Moving to combat, Seb swings the Gremlin at Marie and the Thopter token at me, and we each take our hits. This has Seb drawing 2 from the Spy Network, and they then play a Mountain, and then cast a Schema Thief. With nothing else, they pass. I draw and play a Spitfire Lagak, and follow it up with an Izzet Boilerworks, dealing 1 damage to each of my opponents. I then pass turn. Max draws, and takes 2 as he blitzes out Jaxus. He then activates her to make a copy of Rionia, which is taken out immediately because of the legendary rule, and Max gets to draw a card off the blitz copy. Max finally finds a land, which he plays, and this turns on the Temple of the False God. He's then able to play Agent of the Stormgrald, and sacrifices Jaxus on his end step thanks to Blitz, drawing a card and passing. Marie draws, and plays the Adventure Sign of Horn of Valhalla, making 4 soldier tokens. She then moves to combat and swings Myrel at Max. Marie gets 5 soldier tokens, and Max then double blocks to take out Myrel. With nothing else, Marie passes. Seb draws and plays a Skyclave Relic Kicked, which makes them a token copy of it as well. They then go to combat and swing the Schema Thief at Marie, and 2 Gremlins and 2 Thopters at Max. Neither opponent blocks, which has Seb drawing 2 cards, and as the Schema Thief has connected to Marie, Seb is able to make an Arcane Signet copy token thanks to its ability. In their post-combat main phase, Seb then plays a Mountain and casts Thoughtcast, drawing 2. They then move to their end step, making a Gremlin token and passing. I draw and play an Alchemist Refuge, making a zombie token from the Field of the Dead, and then dealing 1 to my opponents thanks to the Lagak. I then replay Magus Lucea Kane and put a +1/+1 counter onto the Lagak in combat and pass. Max draws and is able to cast Sauron, making a 5/5 army, and then reanimates the Disciple of Bolas from the 5. The Disciple sacrifices the army, drawing Max 5 and gaining him 5, and Max then moves to combat. He gets to make a token copy with Rionia, and he has his Disciple come in, which sacrifices the original Disciple and draws him 2 and gains him 2. Max then moves to discard and passes. Marie reveals a Loxodon Gatekeeper from her Herald's Horn trigger and puts it to hand and draws. She then casts the Benelish Commander, but without any great attacks, she just passes to Seb. Seb makes a Thopter token and draws. They then play a Path of the Animist, but we're not playing Pain Chase, so they just get a ramp spell. They then follow up with a Temple of Abandon, scrying 1, and then cast Imprisoned in the Moon and target Max's Sauron. Moving to combat, Seb swings a Thopter at Marie, a Thopter at myself, and the rest go at Max. Max can't block enough at this point and dies, while Marie and I just take the 1. This has Seb drawing 3 cards, and makes a Felwar Stone token copy, and then moves to their end step. They get to make another Gremlin token from Gimbal, and pass. I draw and play an island. I make another zombie token, and deal 1 to my opponents, and pass to Marie. Marie draws and plays a Plains, and then casts Jeweled Lotus. She sacrifices it to help recast Myrel again, and passes. Seb draws and plays a Forest. They cast Dance with the Calamity, stopping at 10 total mana value, and casting all the spells, which are basically just mana rocks and a ramp. Going to combat, Seb swings all of their Gremlins at me, and the Schema Thief at Marie. I activate Alchemist Refuge in response, and then tap Lucea Kane for mana, and then untap her again with Quirion Ranger, and then tap her once more. I dump all of this mana into a flashed-in Stonecoil Serpent, where X is 11, and I get to copy it twice. This lets me block Gimbal, and 2 Gremlin tokens, and I take the rest, but at least have cleared up some of Seb's board. Seb then draws 2, and makes a Soul Ring copy with a Schema trigger. After combat, Seb then replays Gimbal, and moving to their end step, they make another Gremlin token, and pass to me. I draw and play a Forest, and repeat my landfall triggers. Going to combat, I swing out my serpents and zombie at Seb, and they respond by casting Struggle to kill the real Stonecoil Serpent. Seb then blocks, killing the serpent and zombie in combat, but still takes 11, and with nothing else, I pass. Marie gets a Sarah Redeemer off her Herald's Horn trigger, revealing it and putting it to hand and drawing. She then casts a Redeemer, and casts Unbreakable Formation during her main phase. Her whole team gets a +1/+1 counter, Vigilance, and Indestructible, and she then moves to combat. She swings out at Seb with everything, and makes 12 tokens with Myrels on attack trigger, which each enter with 2 +1/+1 counters thanks to the Redeemer. Seb chumps the Benelish Commander and Myrel, but still drops to 7 from the rest, and with nothing else, Marie passes. Seb makes another Thopter token on their upkeep and draws. They then play out a Cinder Glade, and recast Gimbal yet again. Seb follows that up by rummaging with a Blood token, but with no good attacks, just moves to their end step, making a Gremlin token. I draw and play a Forest, and get my landfall triggers once more. I then cast Reshape the Earth to try and win, but Seth has a Spell Swindle ready to counter it, and gets to make 10 treasure tokens. I then keep my creatures back and pass, and during my end step, Seb casts Perplexing Test to bounce all creature tokens to save us from Marie's huge board, and also gets to flip their Incubate token. Marie reveals Brimaz off the Herald's Horn, putting it to hand and drawing. She then plays Captain of the Watch and makes 3 soldier tokens with it, and then casts Call the Coppercoats to make 3 more soldier tokens as well. Marie then goes to combat and swings a Sarah Redeemer at Seb, and Myrel and the Benelish Commander go at me. I chump the Commander, but take Myrel, and Seb takes the hit from the Redeemer, dropping down to 2. With nothing else, she passes. Seb makes a Thopter token on their upkeep, draws, and plays a Forest. They then cast a Junkwinder and go to combat. Seb then passes to their end step, making a Gremlin token, and gets to tap down the Sarah Redeemer because the Junkwinder sees a token come in, and then passes after that. I draw, play a land, and do my landfall stuff all over again, but with nothing else, I have to pass. Marie draws and plays a Plains. She swings out at Seb and I, and without enough blockers, we both die in combat, and Marie wins the game. Game review time. This game was 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 15 seconds, and I think Max and I can both agree that our openers are pretty sketchy. And in Max's case, he kept way too many high-costing cards in his opener, and not enough ramp. He had 3 cards that cost more than 7, which is just not where you want to be on turns 1 through 3, despite the fact that his commander deck is very Reanimator based. On the flip side, I kept way too many lands in my opening hand. I just drew lands for most of the game, which really didn't get me anywhere, despite the fact I had a bunch of landfall triggering abilities, like the Field of the Dead, and the Lagak. Meanwhile, I think it took Marie until turn 9 to get her 4th land, and she was really aggressive with that Myrel start. I think Myrel is probably one of the best mono-white commanders in the game since it provides you with protection on your turn, not to mention doubling the amount of soldier tokens you get every time she attacks. It's just brutal. I was really impressed with Gimbal. I didn't expect very much going into this game, but Seb did a great job I think showcasing just how powerful the deck can be. On average, during each of their end steps, Seb was making about a 5/5 or a 6/6 Gremlin token without too much effort. Yes, you have to run some weird cards to make some weird tokens, but that Schema Thief was really good. I'm really impressed. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.